Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal ones. I had a lot of executive dysfunction when I was making this, and adding a video and talking to the camera was not helping. There are a few steps that I didn't record, and I'm going to do a voiceover for everything else. So we're kind of backwards. So here we are, finished product. Signed by JENSEN. I had him sign it last week at Chicago. You can see it's got the authentication sticker on it, which is actually really cool. They have that there all the time now, I think, at least for all the cons this year. So yeah, stay tuned if you want to see how to make this. It's a lot more complicated than my other builds, and it took me about 2 years to figure out, and I'll explain that later when I'm in it. This is definitely for a more advanced, experienced foam crafter. If you're looking for something to start out with, go ahead and look at my shield build. It's very much easier. Again, this is going to be for sale on my website. See the link below. And also I'll be selling the template to build this so you can build your own. So go ahead and follow along, and thanks for watching. To get started with this, first I needed a pattern. And I tried for like 2 years to figure it out on my own, and I ended up taking someone else's 3D printer template in Blender and tracing it kind of with my own squares there to get this UV unwrap where I could cut out the pieces and then trace them. Obviously then I took them into my Illustrator and turned them into PDFs that I could then print and trace out onto foam and cut. Sorry, at the beginning of this I didn't film a lot because I just really needed to get started. And here I am. This is actually my prototype helmet. This is the first one I tried. So you can probably see I didn't sand down the edges before I glued them. I just needed to get them put on so I could move forward. There are a lot of pieces, and it's very important that you put them together in numbered order. And you start with number 1 and number 2, which is the nose. So you do both sides with each number. And then you're going to build out the eyepieces of the mask. This is number 3, and then number 4. Obviously this is a much more advanced project than my other ones. If you're watching this, I'm skipping over a lot of things, assuming that you already know how to do. If you want to start with a beginner, go ahead to my shield project. You can see the link right there. It's really important when you're putting these pieces together, especially around number 5, where you go from the thin foam to the thicker foam. It's really important that you get the seams aligned really tightly. And this cheek piece, you can decide. I had trouble deciding if I wanted it to wrap up over that eyepiece or come down below. You can decide for yourself how you want to do it. Once you get the face mask put together, then you're going to put together the top centerpieces of the helmet. Again, if you can get this as tight and as smooth as possible, I'm just going to save you a lot of sanding time afterwards, trying to get that piece to look like one sheet of film. And you're going to attach that to the mask. Make sure you get the good angle so that it makes a good eyebrow. For some reason I didn't do these in numbered order, but you really should do number 8 first and then put the earpiece number 9, so then you get everything to line up properly. And again, because they're different thicknesses of foam, you really want to make sure you've got that. And as you're stretching number 8, make sure you really get it stretched down so that it matches up at the bottom of 7. So then you don't have an extra piece or a missing piece that you have to try and fill in. And there you go. It's all stuck together. As you can see, it doesn't fit together really great because I didn't sand the edges. Now this is my actual helmet that I made. You see it's much tighter seams because I sanded them before I stuck them together. And then it's really just sanding and sanding and sanding for hours until you get it as smooth as you need it to be. The center seam actually took me forever trying to get it so that it looked like one piece. Here we go. Whoops. It rolls really well. There's more of that sanding. Try to be careful when you're doing this because I went a little bit too far and I went through the seam there. There's a lot of sanding around the eyes to get it the right shape. If you look at JENSEN's helmet, there's a lot of different thicknesses around the eyes. That also takes effort, and then you gotta get it symmetrical. It's a lot of sanding. Alright, foam clay is your best friend here for these overlay pieces. I got this silicone, I think it's meant for fondant, this mold. There was no way I was making a star that was going to look good. So I just found this mold and I stuck the foam clay in there, and just as easy as that, and you can just pull it out and it's perfect. And you're going to want to kind of mold it, bend it a little bit so it'll fit better on the helmet once it's dried, because it will dry solid. And then this eagle overlay piece, JENSEN's helmet it's like ridged, but they 3D printed it, and I couldn't find any way to do it other than this. I tried many different ways. I've got this old glass that's got a ribbed texture, and I'm just rolling it over the foam clay. It didn't stay great, but it was the best I could do. So I just sand the edges and heat seal the main helmet before you go to put these on. Make sure you get that eagle centered perfectly before you glue it down all the way, the rest of the way. Do it in sections. And you can see that we left some extra so that we could cut it to shape. Especially with the eye pieces, you're going to start with the outside pieces, these stripy bits, and then do the more inside pieces and make sure they overlap down at the bottom, so then you could cut them off. You don't want to be trying to cut around the eyepiece, because then you're going to ruin your eyepiece and it's going to be a mess. And then sand down your star and cut off the excess. I should have sanded it down a lot more. It was probably double the thickness that it should have been. But look how perfect that is. It's perfect. You put glue just on the star and then roll it onto the helmet in the spot that you want it, and then let it dry, and then when you put it back on, then there's not going to be any extra glue anywhere. And then go in with your small tip, the stone tip, and then just go trace along the edges of the overlay, just to get it smooth and round and make it look like plastic. And heat seal the overlay, and it's all done. I primed it with Plasti Dip, and again, forgot to put gloves on. Wear your gloves when you're doing Plasti Dip. And then used a full coat of gold spray paint for the gold parts. And it was just easier to just do the whole thing, so it was same consistency. And then I use some burnt sienna to age the gold. It's really easy because it's so slippery with the spray paint, and you just take a sock and you just wipe it off. And I realized it was too red, so then I put some burnt umber in it to darken it up a bit. And this took a couple tries to get each piece the way I like it. And then I used some gesso for two reasons, mainly to help the paint stick better, and I know that my green, I'm using phthalo green here, I know it's transparent, so if I don't put down a white base, I'll have to put on like 18 coats to get it to be the right color green. And you can see it looks like Christmas tree green right there. I took like 3 coats to get it to the darker green. And then I've got some metallic craft paint and pewter for the bolts. And then I put on a light wash of ultramarine blue over the green just to give it that little bit of a bluish tinge that his green has. And again, went for the gesso for the black portions, mainly to make it stick better and I don't have to worry about it not covering. And there we have it, the complete project. Thanks for watching.